in the Element Well studio. It's been relocated today to Founders Square at the Neshoba County Fair, Mississippi's giant house party. We're pleased to welcome now Jennifer Branning, represents District 18 in the state Senate. That's Leake, Neshoba, and Winston County. Serves as the chair of Highways and Transportation Committee and the vice chair of the Government Structure Committee, and is a candidate for Mississippi's Supreme Court as a justice on the court for the Central District. Good to see you there, Senator. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Gerard. I have to say to you, welcome to Neshoba County.
Your home county of Neshoba.
That's right. It's been a great day.
It has been. It's always good to see you. So we got an important Supreme Court race coming up. You're a candidate. I believe you've got 4 opponents in the race.
That's correct.
What was the impetus, Senator? What possessed you to jump in the race here?
Yeah, so 9 years ago when I decided to throw my hat in the ring for the state Senate, I did that because, Gerard, you know me, and you know I'm a mom to 3 boys. And I decided to get into public service because instead of continuing to complain about what I didn't like about our state, I said, you know what, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and get in there and do what I can do to make Mississippi the best it can be so that my boys want to live, work, and raise their families in Mississippi. Well, it's the same thing for the Supreme Court. I see a need on the court. I see a real need, and so prayed about it, talked to my family about it. We felt like it was time for me to take this next step.
Gotcha. Awesome. So when you look at the landscape of candidates here, Senator, how would you say that you're primarily different just at a high level than the other candidates?
Yeah, well, I think I've got 3 terms worth of legislative experience coupled with 20-plus years of law practice, and I have a diverse small-town law practice here in Neshoba County. I've represented farmers, I've represented children in child advocacy cases, and a lot of business transactional work, a lot of things that I believe have made me well-rounded to serve on the court, so I'm really excited about the opportunity.
Yeah, and so I think it's fair to point out that the Supreme Court is subject to receiving and taking up cases that transcend the entire gambit of the law.
Absolutely. About half of the cases they look at deal with the family court system, and I believe as a wife and a mother, that also gives me a unique perspective.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Really? Family court system.
That's right. So you're dealing with child cases that deal with custody, with divorces, with all manner of things. So I believe my diverse background places me in a unique position to do a good job for Mississippians on the Supreme Court.
Yeah. You know, when I hear that sort of stuff, Senator, and I know you share my thoughts on this as well, we got to fix that problem. I mean, we got to get to a point where we don't have those kinds of cases that get to the court, period. The nuclear family is so important. It's such a critical element to achieving a successful state.
You know, and my thoughts on that, the government can't be the answer to everything. We certainly in this whole nation have seen a breakdown of the family nucleus, and that starts at home, teaching in the home, in our churches, and such as that, to be sure that our family units are strong. That's what makes a strong state and a strong country. Yeah,
no doubt about it. So how's the campaign going?
It's great, Gerard. You know, we're all over the place. The district is comprised of 22 counties in the central part of the state. I'm in every single one of those counties possible. We're just all over the place. I'm talking to voters. I'm certainly asking for their vote and support, but I'm listening to their concerns as well. It's been a great experience. Of course, you were here for my speech earlier. The response from the crowd was really overwhelming here at home for me, so it feels good.
So as a Supreme Court justice, I mean, you have the opportunity to rule on cases that truly do shape life here in Mississippi. I mean, it's more critical than people think.
So this is the way I look at it. You know, we can get really excited and supportive of our legislative races, of the governor's race, the lieutenant governor's race, those things that are partisan and tangible in nature. But if we're not working to put justices on the court that will fairly and equally apply the law, well, we're not really doing anything. Yeah. We've got to look at that branch as well. Yeah.
So what about our structure here in the state of Mississippi with the 3 districts and then 3 justices from each district? Do you feel like that's an appropriate structure? Or?
Well, that's the way we're set up currently. So there are 3 districts, as you've mentioned, northern, central, and southern. 3 justices are elected from each district presently. So that's what it is, 22 counties, and so we're just working as hard as we can to get to every nook and cranny in the central district.
Yeah. And when you're out talking to folks, Senator, and you're talking about your campaign for Supreme Court justice, Does anything kind of stick out as what people would like to see happen in our state? And are there perhaps some legal matters that are being considered by the court or should be considered by the court that they mentioned to you?
Well, certainly one thing that stands out, people are concerned about the length of time that it takes for a case to move through the court system.
Yeah.
And I have to give credit to the appellate courts. We've done certainly a good job improving that since the appellate court system the Court of Appeals was established. That has certainly helped the flow. But I was actually studying the annual report of the courts the last couple of days to determine how they have progressed. So one thing I'm interested is looking at the efficiency of the court system.
Okay.
And having served in the legislature and actually having handled the budgets for the court on the Senate side, I'm familiar with their money and how things flow, and so I think that there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
That's one thing that stands out to me is the efficiency of the court.
So when I think about a Supreme Court justice, perhaps maybe different than I would just a judge, a chancery, a circuit judge, what have you, I think about the necessary skill of being able to work with others.
Absolutely.
Because you got 8 others you got to work with.
That's critical.
To come up with these final decisions.
And let me speak to that just a moment.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in the Senate for 9 years now, working with 52 of us over on the Senate side, as well as all the House members, now chairing the Highways and Transportation Committee. That takes skill to collaborate, to communicate, to work with people. Last year, for example, we passed a budget for MDOT of $1.4 billion.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 years, we've put over $1 billion additional money into MDOT, into roads and bridges. And you know what? That did not just happen. That took a lot of talking and convincing and collaborating to achieve that goal. But you know what? That's important for economic development in Mississippi. That transcends party lines. Everybody is interested in improving transportation. So I'm confident that those skills will serve me well on the court as I serve the people of Mississippi.
There's no doubt that there's been lots of positive collaboration between our legislature, the Department of Transportation, Executive Director Brad White, the Transportation Commissioners.
Yep.
Absolutely, totally agree with that. Do you feel like that will be really integral and very valuable experience as a Supreme Court justice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The ability to communicate and collaborate and work through difficult issues. We can disagree but not be disagreeable, if you will. And I think I've learned that skill in the legislature, and I'm able to get along with all the colleagues there.
Yeah.
As far as I know, have a great relationship with everyone. But Brad White's done a tremendous job, as well as Commissioner Simmons.
Yeah.
Working together, we've gotten some great things done.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And they, of course, have been advocating for some sort of reliable, recurring stream of revenue that would allow us to tap more federal money and take on some of these capacity projects that we desperately need.
They did, you know, and I actually filed 2 different bills last session. One dealt with the unencumbered use tax dollars. That was my idea, to grab some additional money for road and bridge. And, you know, it actually got the conversation started. You know, Chairman Hobson filed a similar bill, and I'm confident that as time goes on, that's going to be one of the lead conversations you will see next session, without a doubt.
I think you're right. And there's been lots of creative ideas around that of how to portion out that sort of dedicated revenue stream without really having a major impact on our general fund.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, we got to get that done. So what's your plans for the duration of the election period?
So working as hard as I can to get out to see as many voters possible. You know, we have the remainder of today at the Neshoba County Fair. We have tomorrow. So I will be continuing to go from cabin to cabin, see friends and supporters, and get out there and just to educate people about this race. Many people are not really thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's not on the radar of a lot of people, but I think it's incumbent upon those of us who know and understand to get the word out. Elections matter.
So what does Chancey and the family think about this, about mom, wife being a Supreme Court justice in Mississippi?
You know, as long as I continue to cook for them, they're happy.
The important thing,
The
right?
important thing, as long as I continue to cook. No, they're very supportive.
Yeah.
Certainly, they're almost as busy as I am. The older 2 are in college and working, and Chancey is just there to pick up the pieces for me, but they're awesome.
Well, I've been around you guys, and man, he takes it in stride. He's awesome accompanying you wherever you are, and I think that's a good thing. So, we need to be more focused on this race. It is important. It is critical. We need to be concerned about the integrity, the judicial experience, the legal experience, but you bring to the table the additional element of legislative experience as well.
That's right. And I tell people all the time, you know, the north side of State Street, well, that's where the interpretation of the law happens. On the south side, that's where we legislate. So I fully am aware of and understand those boundaries.
Well, it's right around the corner. Of course, we got, as you know, a lot of focus on the federal elections. But, you know, before we go here, I want to say this to you. We'll have a few seconds for you to respond. We got to keep the federal government at bay as well. And there's going to be issues that are likely to come before the state Supreme Court to deal with that.
Sure. Absolutely. So for that reason, it is imperative that we elect justices that are going to be fair and impartial and follow the law. And as I said in my speech earlier, to call balls and strikes and not rewrite the rules of the game. And that's what I'm running to do. Senator
Jennifer Branning, candidate for Supreme Court Justice in the Central District of Mississippi, has been our guest. Thanks for coming on, Senator.
Thank you, Gerard.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Folks, we're taking a break.